Hi,
Hi,
how are you?
good. I have a new background.
You do? Did you change your place in the house?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
it's for me. I will give you to see something.
What is behind you that looks green?
You said this one?
Yeah, yes?
Oh, I'm a vegetable.
Yeah, it is a vegetable. I'm trying to figure out what kind of vegetable. Is it broccoli?
Yes? You know what is this?
Sumiko garashi.
Yes.
I
Oh,
have some Sumiko garashi things too. Hang on a minute. Okay. I don't know if these are all Sumiko garashi, but you can tell me. This one?
yes?
This
Yes? Yes?
one? This one?
Yes? Yes? Do you know what's that one? The
No.
brown one. I know it is because someone didn't want to eat all of like a chicken, and he had some just chicken. Maybe like you cannot eat it, and that part be him.
I see.
It's that one.
How about this one?
Yes,
How about this one?
yes, it is mine. Right? It's the same one as mine.
Oh, they're family. Hi.
Boo, 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 boo. Oh.
Okay. So we are on chapter 3, which is titled, Do You Dare Enter the Cellar of Secrets? Not without a hall pass, you don't. Now, cellar is another name for a basement. In Taiwan, I think that when we go below the first floor to B1 or B2, it is usually a place for the cars to park. Unless we are at Shinkong Mitsukoshi, then we go down to B1 or B2, and there are still stores and shops and things that we can buy. But in a house, if we go down below the first floor to B1, maybe that is where the cars are parked. But in America, a lot of people have another floor below the first floor, under the ground, that is used for watching TV or playing the game of pool or ping pong or having the washing machine and the dryer and doing the laundry or having an office. They can think about what do they want to use that extra space for. A lot of times it's a place for the kids to play, and that is called the basement or the cellar. Usually, unless you are living on a hill, usually the basement or the cellar does not have windows looking outside. In an American school, in an elementary school, if you want to leave your classroom and go to the bathroom or go see the nurse or go to the office, your teacher will probably give you something called a hall pass. It might be a piece of paper and it might be a thing, an object. And on it, it might say the name of the teacher. If other teachers in the school see you in the hallway, they might stop you and say, why are you here in the hallway? Do you have permission? And then you would show them your hall pass. And then the teacher would say, oh, okay, you have permission to be here in the hallway, even though the rest of your class is in the classroom and you are here without a teacher. So they want to just make sure that kids did not escape the classroom, sneak out, and be wandering around having fun in the hallways while the rest of the class is having class with the teacher. So they use something called a hall pass. So it sounds like this chapter is going to have something to do with a basement or a cellar, and maybe at a school, because you might need a hall pass, and that is something that schools use. This makes me think that the kids maybe are not wearing their VR headsets and are in the Minecraft world of the ocean. Instead, I think maybe they have their VR headsets off and are back in the real world of their school. So here I have some pictures showing what a basement might look like. So you can see here with this house, right here, that pink line, that shows the ground outside that you can walk on. And so you can see that this room in the blue circle is under the ground. So that room would be called the basement or the cellar. And so in it, they might have their washing machine. This right here is called a furnace. We will see that word today. A furnace is what keeps the house warm. It's like the heater for the house, and the heat will go up this red pipe, and then it will go to all of the different parts of the house. And we are also going to hear today about these metal shelves that are very tall that we can use to put things on, such as cleaning supplies for the house. So the basement might be a place where you just use things that you don't want the kids to play with. And instead of it having a nice set of stairs, maybe it's just a ladder. Different basements are different. In this house, you can see on the first floor, they have a living room here. There's a bathroom. And this is what we would call a family room or a den. This is just a room for hanging out and watching TV, maybe playing some games. And up here, it looks like maybe this is a place for the kids to play, to work on their homework. Looks like they have a desk and a computer. This right here is called a telescope, and they can use it. If they look through it, they can look at the sky at night, see the stars and the planets and the moon. So there is a house, and below the house is the basement. Maybe on the other side of that house would be the kitchen and some other bedrooms. Some people use the cellar or the basement to store their wine bottles, because wine bottles, this is a drink that big people would drink, adults. Wine bottles need to be stored in a place that's cool, and underneath the ground is a lot cooler than above the ground. This is showing stairs coming down into a cellar or a basement. So you can see there are no windows. This is another basement or cellar, and the people who live in this house, they decided to turn their basement or cellar into a pretty nice place where they can have a couch and relax. Maybe they watch TV, maybe they visit with their friends, play some games. But you can see that in the basement or the cellar, the ceiling, that's the top of the room, doesn't look like a regular ceiling. You can see all of the wood up here, and you can see this silver colored duct over there and also over here. So the room is not usually finished in the basement level the same as it would be in the first or second floor. So let's go ahead and start this chapter. It starts with Jody. Jody was certainly curious about the mysteries of Minecraft. Remember that a mystery is when we have a lot of questions that don't have answers yet, and curious means we really want to know those answers. But she had a mystery to solve in the real world too. Now who is she? Who are we talking about here? Jody. So Jody got to school early the next morning. She, that is still Jody, wore her best spy gear. A spy is someone who is looking for clues. They are looking for answers to mysteries, and they are being very sneaky about it. They might want to wear clothes that are hiding who they are so that other people will not really know who they are. They're just being so sneaky. They don't want other people to notice them or to know who they are, but they want to just sneak around and see if they can find the answers to their questions. So her spy gear, that means what she is wearing to be a spy. So if she is going to be a spy, we know that whatever she's doing, she's being sneaky and she's looking for answers to her questions. So she's wearing dark sunglasses, quiet sneakers, those go on the feet. So she doesn't want anyone to hear where she's sneaking around, and a wide brimmed hat. So let's see here. Well, we know this is Jody. We can see she's wearing sneakers. We can see the sunglasses, but over here, I think this is Harper, and she's the one wearing the wide brimmed hat. The brim of the hat is this part right here. The brim is the part that is going to kind of shade your face. So if it's a wide brim, it'll come out kind of far. And then when the sun comes down, you'll have a lot of shade on your face. Well, despite the clothes, Harper still recognized her. Who is her? Her is still Jody. Remember, whenever we see a pronoun, we have to figure out who that person is. So that her is still Jody. We're still talking about Jody. So Harper recognized her immediately and said, "Hey, Jody," she said. She was sitting, now this she, who do you think this she is? It's getting confusing. We've got lots of she's and hers and two different girls. So when it says here, "Hey, Jody," who is this she? Harper, she said. She, who is this she? Harper. She was sitting on the school's front steps, reading a graphic novel with a dragon on the cover. A graphic novel is the kind of book that has a lot of cartoon pictures in it. I have one I can show you, just a minute. Oh, you have one too, yes. Well, here's mine. So you can see when you have a graphic novel, then they tell the whole story, but they tell it using mostly pictures, right? Okay, so Harper was sitting on the school's front steps reading a graphic novel with a dragon on the cover. So this would be, now someone's talking, and we know someone's talking because of the quotation marks. And this is going to be Harper talking. And she says, "Where's Morgan? Don't you usually walk together?" Because remember, Morgan is Jody's older brother. "He was taking too long to eat breakfast," Jody answered. "I had to leave him. I didn't want to, but it was for the greater good." This is kind of an interesting expression that we use in English, for the greater good. It's a little bit hard to explain, but it's when you're trying to decide if you should do something or not. And so you think about, well, if I do this, what will happen? And if I do this, what will happen? And maybe there's some good reasons to do both, but maybe you choose the one that maybe it's not your first choice, or maybe you'd rather not do this one, but you choose it because you think, well, if I choose this one, it will help out a lot of people. That's the greater good. So she says, I could not wait for Morgan because I needed to leave early for the greater good. So she has a reason that she wants to leave early. There's something she wants to do. And remember, she's dressed like a spy, which means she's going to be sneaking around. So she probably does not want Morgan seeing her. And maybe she thinks that whatever her questions are that she is investigating, maybe she thinks that finding out those answers would help a lot of people or be for the greater good. So Harper knows all of this, and Harper grinned or smiled and said, on a mission, are you? You sound like someone on a mission, on a quest. You have something that you want to do. Jody looked around the schoolyard, making sure no one was listening. She lowered her voice just to be safe. She lowers it to a whisper. Doc has been acting strange all week. That would be Doc Culpepper, the science teacher. I'm going to get to the bottom of it. When someone says that they are going to get to the bottom of something, that means they are going to figure it out. They are going to solve the mystery. They are going to answer all of their questions. So she is going to get to the bottom of it. Doc Culpepper was their science teacher. She was also the inventor of the VR goggles they used to enter the game world. Now, who is this she? Can you hear the girls laughing? I can hear them. This she right here. Who is that she? Well, they're talking about the science teacher, Doc Culpepper. So Doc Culpepper is a girl. We know that because they use the pronoun she. She was their science teacher, but she was also the one who invented or created the VR goggles that they used when they went into the Minecraft world. Though she, who is she? Doc Culpepper. She seemed to have no idea what that particular invention was really capable of doing. That means they're not sure that Doc Culpepper really knows how much those VR goggles can do. Remember when they said earlier that they wondered if they were part magic? Because when they were wearing them, they really felt like they were really there. You know, they could feel the sand beneath their feet. It just seemed like more than, you know, just what they could see with their eyes. For Doc, acting strange was actually quite normal. So they're saying that Doc Culpepper, the normal thing for her to do was to act strange. Everyone is used to her acting strange because she does it all the time. Jody and Harper were both fascinated by their teacher, but they were fascinated in different ways. Harper, this is in the green circle, this is what Harper thinks of the science teacher. And in the pink circle, this is what Jody thinks of the science teacher. Harper thought of Doc as a creative and inventive role model who was dedicated to science. So Harper thought that Doc Culpepper was awesome. She came up with great ideas. She invented things. And if Harper thinks of her like a role model, then that means Harper wants to be just like her. Harper loves science. Jody thought of Doc as a puzzle to be solved, mysterious, secretive, and quite possibly descended from an ancient race of mer-people dedicated to taking over the surface world. I think that Jody has a big imagination. That is really funny. She thinks that the science teacher maybe came from a mermaid. This is a mermaid. Are mermaids real? Do they really exist? No. And here Jody is thinking, you know what? I wonder if Doc Culpepper came from an ancient race of mer-people, of mermaids, who are dedicated to taking over, coming up out of the ocean and taking over the surface world. That would be the world that's not the ocean. And she wants to solve this puzzle. She wants to figure this out. Well, Harper says, does your investigation have room for an apprentice? An apprentice is someone who is like an assistant and is going to learn from the person they are helping. Harper asked, maybe I could help out. Jody gave Harper a grateful smile. That means thank you. She also gave Harper her hat. That is why in this picture, Harper is wearing Jody's hat. Glad to have you on board, Jody said. Now this on board does not mean on a ship or on an airplane or on a train. This is just saying, I'm glad you are joining me and being part of my team, because that hat is way too big for me. That's kind of funny. Jody led Harper to a staircase. The stairs descended, that means they went down, into a dark basement. Ooh, it's getting a little creepy. Why are we going down here? Harper asked. Doc's lab is on the ground floor. That's the first floor. That is what made me suspicious, Jody said. If you are suspicious, that means you think something fishy is going on. Something is not what it seems. Someone's hiding something. I need to figure out what's going on. Jody said, I've seen Doc go down here 3 times this week. Each time she was carrying buckets full of water. That is, see the italics here with is, that is strange, Harper said. She held the handrail, careful not to lose her footing in the low light. Do you think it's for a science experiment? Now, before Jody answers that, I want to come back up here to this word, observant, observe, and observation. I think it's very interesting that Jody noticed that Doc Culpepper had gone down the stairs into the basement 3 times that week. That means that Jody is really observing her. She's watching her very carefully. Observe is when we are looking at something with our eyes very carefully and we're thinking about it. If someone is good at doing that, we would say that person is observant. We add the ANT to the end, and then this becomes an adjective describing a person who's very good at observing. Jody is very good at observing. She noticed and she counted 3 times she saw Doc Culpepper go down the stairs. So Jody is very observant. When we add TION to the word observe, we also have to add this A because it would be hard to say observation. So we add the A, observation. An observation is a noun. We use the word observation to explain what we saw with our eyes, what we were observing. So her observation was that Doc Culpepper went down those stairs 3 times. And so Harper wanted to know, well, what do you think? Do you think it was for doing a science experiment? I mean, she is the science teacher. And Jody said, no, I think she's building a basement swimming pool or an ice skating rink. Let's see what an ice skating rink is. All right, here is a girl who is ice skating. So you can look at her feet. Those are ice skates. Okay, here's a family that is ice skating. And you can look at their feet. They're wearing ice skates. Ice skates do not have wheels. Ice skates have a very sharp blade. and they are used for skating on ice. Can you give me a thumbs up if you've ever been ice skating? No, you haven't? When I was your age, I used to go ice skating with my dad and my 3 brothers every Monday and Wednesday night. We were on an ice skating team in an ice skating club. Okay, and then Jody frowned and said, although I have to admit, your idea does sound more likely. They reached the bottom of the stairs. There was a large furnace on one side of the room. We saw that in the picture we looked at earlier, and I have another picture to show you. Against the back wall was a large closet with a chain link door. In the closet, cleaning supplies were neatly stacked upon the floor to ceiling metal shelves. So let's see. Here's an example of what a furnace looks like. Here's some people that are working on installing it or putting it in. And this will help the whole house be warm. It will heat the house. This whole thing is a chain link fence. But right here, this you could say is a chain link door. And here we can see floor, there's the floor, up to the ceiling, shelves. These are metal shelves. And on the shelves, they have cleaning supplies. Here's some examples of cleaning supplies. These are things that you do not want to have anywhere near kids, because if little kids got into these, they could get really hurt, maybe even need to go to the hospital. Okay, and so then Harper says, do you smell that? Harper asked. Wonder what's going on this page. But you know what I noticed when I look at this picture? Do you see how this whole picture has this kind of a bubble around it? And we often use a bubble picture if someone is thinking in their head, if they have an idea. And the other way we know that someone's thinking is if we see these little circles, right? And if those circles come down to a person's head. So who is thinking this picture? Who is imagining what's in this picture? Yeah, Jody, right? This is what she's thinking. This is what she's picturing. Now remember, she thinks their science teacher maybe came from some mermaids a long time ago. So we know that she already has a huge imagination. And now I look at what she's thinking about, and I'm like, oh my goodness, a one-eyed fish. She has a really big imagination. Okay, Jody sniffed the air. It smells like the beach. It's salt water, Harper said. Salt water is from the ocean. Of course, Jody said. Harper, what if Doc is from Atlantis? That would explain why her science is so advanced. So Atlantis is this story or this myth that a long time ago, there used to be this amazing city where the people that was above the water, the people were great inventors. They were very technologically advanced. That means they were able to invent and create things that everyone else on Earth didn't know how to do yet. And so they had this amazing city. And then something happened, and I don't know the story, but the whole city sunk to the bottom of the ocean. And then people couldn't find it. And so it became a legend or a myth. You know, did it ever really exist? Well, people could not prove that it didn't ever exist because they couldn't find it. And as long as they couldn't find it, they thought, well, maybe it did. Maybe the story is real. We can't disprove it because the bottom of the ocean is a very big place and we can't find it. But many people who write stories and who make movies thought this was a fun story to use in their movie. So here you can see what part of the city might look like if it was sunk to the bottom of the ocean, because now you can see this is water everywhere. Well, one movie that was made using the story of Atlantis was the movie that has these characters in it. I don't know if they look familiar to you or not, but they had here the city of Atlantis. And another movie that is for older kids is a story about a superhero called Aquaman, and his people were the Atlanteans. Those are the people from Atlantis who were somewhere near the bottom of the ocean. But so when we talk about Atlantis, it's kind of like talking about mermaids again, because the story of Atlantis, just like when we talked about Camelot, it's more of a legend. It's not something that people really consider to be true or ever existed. So this just reminds us that Jody has a very big imagination. Harper gave Jody a funny look. She went to college. Now, who is she? We have another she. We have to remember they're talking about, well, it's not on this page. Who are, oh yes, it is. Who are they talking about? They're talking about
Doc.
Right, Doc Culpepper. It's so nice to hear your voice. So Harper says, she, Doc Culpepper, went to college and got 2 doctorate degrees. A doctorate degree, doctorate degree is a PhD. And people who get a PhD are called doctor, but they are not the kind of doctor you see at the hospital or when you are sick or to fix something that's not working right with your body. A PhD doctor just has...
It is like make something or like doing science.
Right, a lot of scientists might have a PhD, and that is called a doctorate degree. And so they have been in school for a really long time. They're very smart. And so Harper thinks, you know, that explains why her science is so advanced. Not that she's from Atlantis. That's not the reason. It's because she's smart and she went to school for a really long time and she got 2 doctorate degrees. That is why. Explains means that is why her science is so advanced. Advanced means not simple, right? Much more difficult, much more complicated. And then Jody says, maybe she went to college, that's university, in Atlantis, Jody suggested. Suggested is another way of saying said. Suggested means I'm giving you another idea. Maybe, Harper said. Do you think Harper really means maybe? Maybe means it's possible. Do you think Harper really believes it's possible that Doc Culpepper went to college in Atlantis? I would say no. I don't think Harper believes anything about Atlantis. Believing in Atlantis is not believing science. It's more having an imagination. But I think Harper is trying to be kind to Jody. And she doesn't want to say, Jody, you're crazy. You know, you're not making any sense. So she says, maybe. She pointed at a series of small puddles leading down a side hallway. The trail leads that way. Remember, they are being spies or like a detective. They are trying to, in a very sneaky way, sneak after Doc Culpepper and solve this mystery. The big question right now is, why did Doc go down the stairs into the basement of the school 3 times that Jody saw in 1 week? They want to find out, what was she doing down in the basement of the school? They want to answer that question. What is she doing down there, and why is she doing it? They walked to the end of the short hallway. A door was ajar. That means it was open just a little bit. That means it's not locked. Jody peered inside. Very quiet, just took a little look. What do you see? Harper whispered. It looks like a classroom, Jody whispered, but there are big tanks of water. And I think I hear something, an animal scuttling and squeaking. And that is kind of an exciting place to stop and wait until tomorrow, but we shall wait until tomorrow. Okay, Archie. So
long.
Cheddar Chip. Bye.
Bye.